Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network and iHeartRadio. Welcome to Hunting for Answers, a true crime podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today we're discussing a case that took place in Brooklyn, New York on Father's Day, 2006. This case remained unsolved for over a decade, leaving a family devastated and a community searching for answers when a 16-year-old honor student had arranged to meet a classmate and then vanished. This is the story of Chanel Petro-Nixon. Chanel Petro-Nixon was born on August 4th, 1989. She was the daughter that every parent had dreams of having. At 16 years old, she was an 11th grader at Boys and Girls High School in Brooklyn, where she maintained straight A's. Chanel lived in the Bed-Stuy area of Brooklyn with her father, Anthony Garvin, her mother, Lucita Nixon, and her brothers, Marcus and Giovanni. She was a devoted member of Mount of Olives Seventh-day Adventist Church on Bushwick Avenue, never missing Sunday service or prayer meetings. Friends and family called her the perfect kid. She had dreams, ambitions, and a smile that could light up any room. But on Father's Day, 2006, Chanel's bright future would take a tragic turn. June 18th, 2006, Father's Day Sunday in Brooklyn. Chanel left her family's Bed-Stuy home with plans to visit someone. She told her parents she would be meeting a classmate from school. That classmate was a man named Veron Primus, a young man who would become the center of a decade-long investigation. What started as a simple plan to meet a friend would turn into every parent's worst nightmare. As Sunday evening turned to night, Chanel didn't return home. This was completely out of character for the responsible teenager who never missed church on Sundays. Monday, June 19th, 2006. When Chanel still hadn't returned home the next day, her frantic parents reported her missing to the police. This wasn't like Chanel. She didn't disappear. She didn't rebel. She didn't break any rules. For 3 agonizing days, Chanel's family searched for answers. They distributed flyers, contacted friends, and prayed for her safe return. The straight-A student seemed to have simply vanished. Then, on June 22nd, 2006, their worst fears were confirmed in the most horrific way. On June 22nd, 4 days after Chanel was last seen alive, someone passing by made a gruesome discovery on Kingston Avenue in Crown Heights. There, in a trash bag, was the body of 16-year-old Chanel Petro-Nixon. The medical examiner determined that Chanel had been strangled. The bright, beautiful teenager who had everything to live for had been murdered. But finding Chanel's body was only the beginning. The search for her killer would prove to be a long and very frustrating journey that would test her family's faith and resilience. For the next 10 years, Chanel's case remained unsolved. Detectives investigated leads, interviewed witnesses, and followed up on tips, but no arrests were made. The case grew cold, but Chanel's family never gave up hope. Chanel's mother, Lucita, would later describe those 10 years as the most agonizing period of her life. Not knowing who killed her beautiful daughter tore her apart. Every day brought the same questions. Who did this? Why? And would they ever face justice? The family organized vigils, kept Chanel's story in the news, and never stopped pushing for answers, refusing to let their daughter become just another forgotten victim. In 2016, exactly 10 years after Chanel's murder, there was a breakthrough. Veron Primus, the classmate Chanel had gone to meet on Father's Day, was charged with her murder. Prosecutors revealed that Primus had been the last person to see Chanel alive. He was indicted on one count of second-degree murder and faced up to 25 years to life in prison if convicted. But there was a problem. Veron Primus wasn't in Brooklyn. He wasn't even in the United States. He was thousands of miles away, sitting in a prison cell in the Caribbean nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. In the years following Chanel's murder, Veron Primus had built a disturbing criminal history. He had been accused by 2 different women of sexual assault, but was acquitted at trial. He later went to state prison in New York for violating an order of protection taken out by an ex-girlfriend. A few years later, Primus was arrested for allegedly raping a woman and was subsequently convicted of assault. He served around 4 years in prison and was deported in 2015. But his criminal behavior didn't end with his deportation. If anything, it escalated. While in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Primus reportedly stabbed a real estate agent to death. The victim was 31-year-old Charlene Greaves, who was found dead in November 2015. Primus was convicted of this murder in the Caribbean nation. But even prison couldn't contain this man. He escaped not once, but twice from prison on the Caribbean island. The second time, he turned himself into police 12 hours after his escape. In 2017, Primus was being held in St. Vincent, awaiting proceedings for the murder of Charlene Greaves. This created a complex legal situation regarding his extradition to the United States to face charges for Chanel's murder. And while he had been charged in Chanel's murder, getting him back to Brooklyn to face trial proved to be a legal nightmare. Chanel's family found themselves caught up in a web of international law, extradition treaties, and competing legal systems. The man accused of killing their daughter was facing justice for another murder. But would he ever face justice for Chanel's death? Chanel's story became more than just a murder case. It became a symbol of the senseless violence that claims way too many young lives. It highlighted the importance of never giving up on cold cases and the power of a family's perseverance in seeking justice. Chanel's family never stopped fighting for answers, and their persistence eventually led to charges being filed, even with justice being delayed. Today, Chanel Petro-Nixon would be 35 years old, and her family continues to seek justice for her murder. The case remains complicated by international legal issues, but Chanel's memory lives on in the hearts of those who loved her. My thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of Chanel Petro-Nixon. As we close out this episode, don't forget to click the follow button to stay updated on Chanel's case and others like it. Be sure to subscribe to Hunting for Answers on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and TikTok for more true crime updates. And if you are watching us on YouTube, let us know your thoughts on this case down in the comments. Thank you so much for joining us on another episode. Until next time. Hunting for Answers is a production of the Black Effect Podcast Network. For more podcasts from the Black Effect Podcast Network, visit the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.